sleep for me. By the way,
No.
this angle is, look how fat I
What?
look. Don't try to be fat like me. You can't pull it off, Jim.
All right. Well, that's what I'm here to talk to you about.
Yeah.
I've been trying an experiment lately. Tell me what you think of this. I've got the bug again. This happens every few years that I think to myself, "Oh, I'm gonna solo this year."
Oh, nice. Are we being recorded?
Yeah, it's recording already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I started. I made that mistake like 2 times a couple years ago where I got deep into a conversation. Was like, "Oh shoot, I never hit record."
Yeah.
So I'm never in it to do like a gotcha thing. So I always edit things so that they are flattering for the guests anyway, you know? So I now out of habit, I just hit record as soon as we're connected.
I have
and trim it up
the
later.
skills to make you really struggle to make me look good.
Yeah, well, that's funny. What is that like actually? Well, okay, hang on a sec. I'm going to put a pin in that because I want to ask you about being an online persona. But I also want to tell you that I do have this bug again this year. I'm thinking I want to solo this year, and so what I'm trying though is why was I thinking this? Oh yeah, speaking of trying to live a healthy lifestyle and extend not just life but quality of life. I don't feel like I have time right now, time or energy to go to the gym kind of thing, or to sign up for a boxing gym, which is what I dream of doing, stuff like that. And so I have a bunch of like weights and a jump rope and stuff like that at work, and like at intervals, I just do little bursts of activity, and I hope that that's keeping me alive.
The number one thing anyone who wants to get in shape should do if they're not going to go to a gym. Do you want to tell me do you want me to tell you what I think it is? I want to be clear. I don't do this because, I don't know.
This is a
I currently belong to a gym, I guess.
It's not a do as I say, do not as I do thing. It's just that you don't need it right now because you do go to a gym.
Yeah, but I mean, it sounds like you have a jump rope and you have some weights.
Jump rope, some weights, pull-up bar. I mean, the job itself also entails like I do a lot of warehouse management, and a lot of the stuff I'm moving around, 70-pound antennas and radios and stuff like that all the time.
You're a beast is what you're saying.
No, just that like I'm not dedicating a big chunk of the day to these things, but I'm trying to get like little bursts of activity, and this is going to tie to bagpipes eventually, I promise. But no, what do you think is the number one thing? Tell me about it.
I'm trying to find.
You're Googling, what is the number one thing you must do?
Yeah. Look it up. So it's a guy. See, because I don't want to say the thing because people immediately put the defenses up.
It's understandable, It's a thing that like if you feel like you're not doing well at a thing, or you feel like you're being accused by somebody else that you're not doing enough for a thing and stuff like that, like it can be easy to feel defensive.
Yeah. Is this what it is? Okay. This is what it is. It costs more than when I was a member. But still not very much. So there's a guy called Pat Sherwood. He's like an OG CrossFit guy.
He's not the OG.
He's not the OG. He's not by any means. He's not the OG. But a guy named Pat Sherwood, and he has, I think, what basically amounts to an online CrossFit affiliate. But there's a thing that you can buy, and back when I joined, it was $5 a month. It's now, because it's awesome, $18 a month, I think.
Ain't that just the way though?
But anyone who wants to get fit should just do that, and then you get the Beyond the Whiteboard app. And you just do the workouts that he says each day. And they're not like, some of them are, the longest workout you'll get is like half an hour, probably, give or take. And then the shortest ones can be really quite short. And then like, I don't know, he has a very cool philosophy about working out. And he's got an accompanying podcast that he puts out for the members every week, just kind of like talking about the basics and so on.
Mm-hmm.
I should probably just do that. The
Mm.
problem is I don't have a good workout space at home.
Mm-hmm.
And then this office is just like, I don't know. Could I get a couple of weights and rock and roll inside the office from time to time?
There you go. There you go.
Maybe. It's kind of dusty in here.
Yeah. Well, that'd be shake that dust out. Oh, the other thing that I have at work is I have like a bike, like a spinning machine,
Yeah.
and I took it apart, so it's like still functional, but there's like no handlebar stuff in front, and I can raise my desk up high enough I can kind of slide it under the desk, so I
Yeah.
can pedal for an
That's
hour or something.
that's gonna get you where you need to go.
You know what I used to have, Andrew? I used to have a standing desk like that I built. This is like 10. I was a work from home warrior before it was a thing. Um, like 10, 11 years ago, I was working from home and had to make a bedroom space work. And there was it's like a little like cubby thing in this room that I was using that the previous homeowner had a giant safe there. So I just put in like 2x4s and basically built a desk up high and put a treadmill there. And I would walk
Yeah.
for 7, 8 hours a day. Just
And did it
and
work?
well, I mean, I don't know. I don't
You're
know.
like, I don't know, but just look at me.
Right, yeah. But behold the temple that this is built. um, no, I've never
I've also
been
heard a rumor.
super
I've
good
heard a
at that,
rumor
but
you're quite tall.
I'm on the tall side. Well, I used to be 6'3", but I think my arches have fallen or something like that. I am now sub 6'3",
Hmm,
6'2" or so.
amazing.
My dad, though, at his highest, at his tallest, was 6'6", and my feet are a full size larger than his, and so I feel kind of
Maybe
like
you're still growing.
I was hoping for that. My dad says that he had a 1.5 2-inch growth spurt when he was like 25. So I was hoping for that. I'm way past 25 now, so I
Yeah.
think probably not. But
It
I do
just
feel
helps
like
see things better, you know?
that's right. Do you ever do that? You're on the tall side yourself, aren't you, Andrew?
Yeah.
You ever do that thing where you're in a crowd and you think to yourself, like, I wonder what it's like, and you just kind of hunker down, get your eye level
It's
down to about
terrible.
what the average is. Like claustrophobia, right? All of a
I
sudden, you're like, what? Where am I even going? Where
I
where
think
did
it
my
like
family go?
it probably contributes to like how impatient I am because I've
Because you
never
can see
learned.
how far it is
Yeah,
to
I've
get
never
to.
learned normal people patience. It's like, wait, when you go to the movies, like you can't necessarily see everything on the screen.
Right.
What is
Not going to
that?
deal with that. Not okay.
What is that all about? But anyway, the CrossFit linchpin thing, you do the workouts, and the workouts are like infinitely sort of scalable. And then also, there's a no equipment version. There's like there's a very limited equipment version. There's
Mm.
like the full CrossFit nerd equipment version of every single workout.
Oh, that seems like that seems really useful.
Yeah. And it's like sort of designed not to ruin your life.
Mm. Well, yeah, and maybe that's part of it. I mean, I'm not trying to. I'm definitely not like a fitness. I don't think that that's like part of my persona in any way. But I do want to not. The main thing that I have in mind most of the time. My neighbor across the street is a track coach, and he told me he's like, here's your main fitness goal: be able to wipe your own butt your whole life.
Yeah.
And I was like, and that really has stuck with me. That's my main thing, dude. I just
Yeah.
I
Well,
want,
and
I want
that's one thing.
mobility.
That's one thing. Like I'm gonna call it. That's one thing. Natural CrossFit
Mm.
is the best for.
Mm.
Like the CrossFit that you see on TV is not really what it is. Like that's the sport version.
Oh, I see. You see, I never knew there was really much of a distinction. That's
Well, I would say there's a
interesting.
huge distinction. I mean, the
Mm.
CrossFit you see on TV is like literally the fittest people like probably in the history of all time. So that's
Hmm.
what you're seeing on TV, which is cool. Like I think it's entertaining. But then but normal people CrossFit, I mean, yeah, it's for normal people. It's for old, it's for elderly people who, yeah, want to get better at
Mm.
getting up off the couch,
Yeah.
like, cause that's not easy.
Right.
Once you lose the ability to get off the couch, like that's a problem. So to your neighbor's point, it's like, yeah, we want to be able to wipe our own butts. We don't want to end up a vegetable in a hospital at age 68.
Yeah. You know that I have a lot of babies, and I think to myself all the time, like, I will wipe your butts. May you never wipe mine.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
Yeah, totally. Totally. But it's like you got to work, the thing that people don't get, like you have people like me that go out and they run around the block every single day, but it's like that's not going to help you get off the toilet when you're 68, right? If anything, it freezes up your ranges of motion and and locks you into that one specific modality. And like CrossFit is really big on balance, agility, strength, and then ranges of motion. And it's not just like, do you get your blood pumping above 100 beats per minute, once a day? Like that's part of it, but only a very small part.
It's such a silly thing. But when I was younger, I had in my head this idea that like flexibility was for girls.
It's for girls until you can't wipe your butt.
Yeah, totally, right. And I guess it's probably because what I saw around me, like feats of flexibility, were usually female athletes doing gymnastics and stuff like that. But
well, and again, I think flexibility is not so much the thing. Like I think range of motion is. I think that's really what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. It's only in my old age now have I realized like that is really what I want. Like that's what I'm going for. In fact, I remember I was in
what you want is you want strength, right, across a wide range of ranges of motion. Like you want strength across all of the different ranges of motion. That's what we want, and probably a bit of endurance.
Sure, yeah.
That's really what you want. That's what you're going to need, right? That's what you don't have when I think, and by the way, what I do is I come on podcasts and talk about stuff I don't actually know that much about. But like, I think the people that keep falling in their old age, and falls are very serious for people in their old age. Like, I think the people that keep falling, they lack strength across ranges of motion, right? It's like, so you can't actually get up once you've fallen. I think that's a big problem. And then there's the endurance, and then there's lots of other things too, like balance and agility, and you want to keep working on those things.
Yeah. Well, and so here's where I feel like there's a connection to piping here, is that what I've been thinking to myself is like, and by no means am I saying like, and I'm doing these things and am successful. It's always a struggle, but feeling like I've got the soloing bug in me again, and feeling like I don't have time for stuff, I thought, well, maybe I could do the same kind of thing, but with bagpipes,
Yeah.
And so I've just been keeping my practice chanter and printed copies of the tunes I'm thinking to compete with at work, and just trying to run through stuff, at little intervals here and there, steal 10 minutes every couple hours kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
And
I have I don't know. I think people overthink this solo business. And I can already sense you overthinking this. You've got the bug again. So like, when's the next solo competition?
I might have one available to me in May, but more likely June is what I'm looking at.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So anyway,
we're recording right now in March, so we're talking a couple months.
Yeah, like that. You got to hedge against how long the edit might take on this.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like, just go out in June and play some bagpipe tunes, and then there you go.
Yeah. Well, part of it is that this time I'm kind of double dipping in a way where I've never learned Patty's leather breeches.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard it so many times. I've fake played it a few times just for fun, but I've never dug into it.
It's funny you should mention that, because it's been so long since I played Patty's leather breeches, and now it's in the Inverary concert set. So I've been playing that occasionally.
Yeah. Well, there you go. We've both been playing that tune occasionally. Yeah,
that's not high in my stack, but
it's been the stack referenced Piper's Dojo Conversations episode that has already come out at this point.
Oh yeah,
all these timelines, man. Yeah, stack of tunes. That's right. But yeah, that's I'm kind of double dipping in here and fulfilling like this. I'm like, it's been too long that I've been wanting to dig into that tune, so I'm digging into that tune. But
that's cool. So just but do you know any other jigs?
I mean, I know other jigs.
So here's what you do. Okay, people are overthinking this solo thing. If you here's what you do: is you don't learn Patty's leather breeches, right? You learn that and keep the other jigs going, right?
Mm-hmm.
So put together a set of 3 jigs that you like to play and play them in your practice. And then, maybe Patty's is at the end and it's your weakest one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when it comes to time for the solo competition, about a week before, pick whatever tune of the 3 jigs you think
Mm-hmm.
is going the
The
best
one
and
that's
just go
feeling
play
good.
that. Yeah, and just go
That's
play that.
interesting. It's interesting.
Look, it's not what you would do. It's not what you would do. Like when I was a kid playing in grade 1, that's not what you would do, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
like, those are your CrossFit athletes that are like, they're in it to win it. But like if you're just trying to get into the solos, like you just want to go play. It's the same reason people don't go just start working out. Is because they have to make all these plans. Like, ooh, I have to get the perfect
Mm-hmm.
workout clothes.
Yeah,
And
and
then I have to
equipment
join
and
a
plans and
gym.
all.
It's
Yeah.
like, do you have to join a gym? I mean, like, there are pros and cons, right? But like, oh, I got to find the gym to join, and like, it's really intimidating to go to the gym. Like, that's the reason I never started working out,
Mm-hmm.
is I was too intimidated to go to the gym. Uh, and then like, there's all these things that you're thinking about, and it's like, really, what do you need to do? It's like step 1 is go get sweaty. So if you're interested in playing the solos, like sign up for one, and just go play a tune, and don't
Mm-hmm.
I think we attach our egos to it like really prematurely.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, I'm gonna learn a new tune, and this time I'm gonna make it perfect, and then I'm gonna go play the solos, and then and then hopefully maybe get a prize. I don't know. I don't know what people are thinking, but like really, you just gotta go play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that
Uh,
makes sense.
and there's no point thinking about how you're going to do or what the judge is going to think about you or whatever. There's no point thinking about that until you're actually doing it, like until you're actually able to get yourself there,
Mm.
I think.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're
Just go
saying.
play, go have a
Yeah.
tune.
Yeah.
And then if you need help tuning your pipes, find someone to help you tune your pipes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, if there's a couple passages where the embellishments are too difficult, just simplify. Like
Mm-hmm.
we just want to get out there and get our feet wet.
Yeah. I have been doing some of that, and that's been liberating because this is the first time that I've kind of like thought about soloing since encountering that idea and like accepting it as okay that F doubling's giving you a hard time, just play grace note, G grace note instead.
Yep.
Which at the same time, part of me is like, yeah, but I also want to work on my F doublings, so I'm like, oh, maybe I will later, but just being chill about it, that has been really nice. And it's been fun to see how the tunes have changed a little bit because of that. I do really enjoy
For
that
sure.
process as you get deeper into a tune. You start going, you know what? If at the end of this measure I do a run up instead of a run down, it'll sound cool going into the next part. Those little things that start coming up, I always think that's fun.
Yeah, you got to be a little careful with that in the solos, but also only
Only a
after,
little.
but also like only after you're doing it, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Again,
But
you
yeah,
got to do
like
the
go
thing.
just go play something simple and see how it
Hmm.
goes.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, cool, that wasn't so bad. And then maybe you'll have a couple spots where it's like, oh, I didn't even think about that detail.
Hmm.
And then you just got to start doing it.
Did I ever tell you about the first time that I soloed, Andrew? I think
Maybe.
I wonder if I have like baggage that I need to unpack and to get over. Maybe that's part of where the anxiety comes from that I sometimes feel when it comes to soloing. The first judge that I ever soloed for, I played a slow air. I mean, I was young, so I was competing. It might have been a slow march. Now I'm thinking about it, slow air or slow march, and it was a German tune. And the judge was, I think, probably pretty drunk the day of the
Was it like
competition.
Highland Cathedral or something? Like, isn't
Nah,
that
it
German?
was called Auf Wiedersehen. I don't think
Okay.
it's a super common tune either, but it was simple. But the judge was pissed.
He didn't like it?
He was pissed that it wasn't a Scottish tune. Which now I'm like, I don't know about that judge's qualifications, honestly, if he was,
Yeah.
yeah, if that's what he was worried about. But I think I think it made an impression on me. I mean, that was my very first soloing experience.
I'm so
He,
not like I'm
he,
so as a judge like I'm so uninterested in what tune they're playing. I sometimes forget to ask.
mm-hmm,
And it's not because the tune that you're playing isn't an important choice or anything like that. But it's like as a judge, that doesn't weigh into what my thought process is. Like my thought
Yeah.
process is like, okay, here's the person, here's the person, they're here to play, and what do they got for me?
Yeah. Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is
I
what
mean,
I mean.
I'm
And some
imagining.
judges are bad. Some
Yeah.
judges are bad. And by the way, very few judges are bad people. Like, so
Mhm.
just if there's any judges out there.
Well, that's part of. I provide the detail that he was, I think, pretty drunk by the morning of
See,
the
that's bad.
competition. As like that might explain why his he didn't have as many inhibitions as he ought to have had, and
Must
maybe
have
he
been a
didn't.
long time ago if you had a judge that was actually drunk in
I
North America.
Yeah. I mean, it was probably 20. How old am I? 20. It was probably 24, 5 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah, like that's not a thing anymore.
Yeah. Well,
I
and I
can't even
provide that as
think.
like not as like, so screw him, rather like an explanation of like this is probably part of why he acted that way. He probably wouldn't have acted that way on a good day. When he was in better control of himself, I
But
mean.
it's still like you could think about how much damage that judge may have done, right? Now you feel anxiety
Well, he was
about
pissed at me
solo
and he was
piping.
pissed at my instructor too. I think that sticks with me even more is that I saw him berating my instructor. Like, how could you let your students do this kind of thing, And I'm like, well, so I don't know. I can examine it now and be like, that was
Can we
that guy's
steel man?
problem. That was
Can
not
we
my
steel man
problem.
the judge's case? I mean, so he was drunk, which is not really excusable, but like, does he have any reasonable reason to actually be upset that you play a German tune? Like,
I
did
don't
his
know.
family fight the Germans?
Hey,
Like, did
maybe, yeah, maybe
like,
his father was a POW or something like that.
yeah, and I mean, like, is there actual, real emotional connection that might be somewhat legitimate, or that might be a
Mm,
reason why? I don't know.
yeah, maybe he had an abusive stepfather who, when he left the house, said "Auf Wiedersehen," and so seeing that on the page,
Hmm.
uh, you know, did the Ratatouille thing where he zoomed back into his childhood, but it was not a positive memory, and then he
Yeah,
zoomed back to the present and was upset.
sort of from a zoomed out perspective too. Um, from a zoomed out perspective, there, there's probably also the thing which I think happens, which is I've done everything all these piping teachers have told me to do my entire life, and it's amounted to this,
Mm,
which is which is a scary thing.
mm-hmm,
And I think a lot of people struggle with uh, with the whole rug pull
mm,
that is piping,
mm,
right? It's like, you can't play a German tune, you fool. This is
yeah,
how you do it, and this is how you're supposed to do it. And if you don't play it like this, you're not going to win the prize. And you can't play it like that because Bob Brown played it like this. And
mm-hmm,
and then and then you talk to another guy and he's like, you can't play it like that because Robert Reed played it like this, and Bob Brown
right,
didn't know what he's talking about. We talked about this on one of our podcasts
mm-hmm,
a while ago, and you can't do that. And this is what you got to do, and this is how you're going to win your gold medal. And by the way, maybe you did even win a gold medal, but most judges didn't.
mm,
But maybe you even did. But it's like, okay, once you win a gold medal, then what happens?
mm,
Right? Like the only pathway left for a lot of these folks is to like become judges,
mm, mm-hmm,
which is not a musically stimulating career path.
mm.
It's not bad. Like I mean, I think judging is cool, but like that can't be. Imagine if that was the punctuation at the end of your
Mm.
entire life of bagpiping. It's like
Maybe especially after years of doing it too.
now you sit in a chair while people come up and play
And
German
listen, yeah,
tunes.
listen to this 14-year-old kid play
Yeah,
a German
right.
slow march.
Like I judge on the side, and I judge on the side,
Mm-hmm,
and you get paid to be a judge,
mm-hmm,
but it's but like it's they pay for your travel if you have to travel, which the farther I have to travel, the less likely I am to do a judging gig, because what you actually get paid is like in the
mm-hmm.
USPBA anyway, it's like $300 for the day,
Yeah.
maybe more. Is it 350 now? I don't know, but it's not much.
But if you divide
It's
that across a whole day, it's not a great hourly for what all you're doing to travel there
yeah,
and stuff like that too. I mean,
it's
that's a
more
lot
of
of
like
time.
an honorarium, but you're not, so you're mostly a volunteer. So
Mm-hmm,
like when you're judging, you're doing that on the side.
Hmm.
And then like, you want to try to have other projects on the go.
Yeah, that's I actually I wonder if you have some insight to this, Andrew. I saw a little while ago a post from an instrument maker in a group, and I'm trying to remember now. I don't think it was a pipe maker. I'm pretty sure it was a flute and or tin whistle maker who was kind of closing shop at least temporarily, and a lot of people were like, "Well, why? I love your instruments. Why are you closing up?" And one of the things that they mentioned was just that like they chose that career path. They chose to do that because they love the music and they love the instrument. And they've found that all of the time that they spend on the thing now is making instruments for other people to go and play. And they don't get enough time to play music themselves. And it made me stop and think. It's not something I had thought of before. Does that ever happen as a judge? Are you ever, hour 6 on your second day of judging competitions and thinking to yourself, when was the last time I got to play my pipes?
Yeah.
Like I'm doing this because I love this, but because I'm doing this exactly so much, I'm not getting to make music.
Yes. Well, that's the danger of making your hobby into your career.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yep. There's a group of us in the world who are friends,
Hmm.
because we've made our passion into our career, and it's not always easy.
Yeah, help me. Maybe this makes me feel better, Andrew. Because I've asked a couple of friends about this who have become like music instructors who perform a lot, that kind of thing. They kind of make music. Well, it's usually
Yeah.
a combination of a few things. They make it into their job. And like sometimes I look at that enviously, right? Because I have to do this, I have to do spreadsheets and warehousing and stuff like that and
Yeah.
sneak music in on the side. And so I don't know if I'm just trying to comfort myself by thinking this, or if there is truth to it. It's probably a mixed bag. But sometimes I do wonder, like, well, what if I could? What if I could make music the thing I do full time every day? Would it lose some of its magic for me?
Yeah.
As long as I still want more, then it's magical. What if I got to a point where I didn't, where I was satiated? I no longer wanted more, but I had to keep doing it. Ooh, that could be hard.
So I think the bottom line is yes, you should look on enviously,
Well, there you
because this is
go.
pretty
I'll
cool,
keep
right?
being envious then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So definitely keep being envious, but there's big downsides. Like for me, I don't know. When I was young, I used to dream of, let's say, winning a gold medal.
Hmm.
It would still be a really cool thing I would be interested in doing. But now that bagpiping's my career, there's no chance. Which is weird because you think there might be even more of a chance now
Yeah.
because I don't have a day job. But no, at the end of the day, I don't want to practice P-Rock for 2 hours.
Mm.
If I had a normal job, right, and I got home from work at the end of the day, like, and then would I want to get the pipes out and have a tune? Way more likely.
Yeah, I bet you'd be desperate for it by that point.
Yeah,
Because
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So it's
Hmm.
like, but now it's like, well, when I wake up in the morning, usually get up early, and then I usually work on my bagpiping business. I'm either writing stuff about bagpipes, working on a course about bagpipes, working on some sort of business technology thing that's going to help me sell my stuff that's all about bagpipes. And then come
Hmm.
8 o'clock, then I teach a class all about bagpipes. And then after that, usually my morning has a few meetings with my team about all the bagpipe stuff that we do.
Yeah, with your
And
bagpipe team specifically. Yeah.
yeah, and then emails are going back and forth. By the way, this is what I've chosen, so I'm not. Don't mistake this for complaining.
Hmm.
But this is what I do, right?
Yeah.
And then emails are flying back and forth inside the EOSPBA because I'm a member of the executive committee there, so that's all bagpipe stuff. And then like one of the things I love to do, which is technically my job, but also just a real passion of mine, is playing Inverary. So there's some Inverary tunes floating around, some ideas floating around, right? But it's like man. And then I go do exercise.
Hmm.
And then I come back and I have a couple more hours to work on my bagpipey stuff.
Hmm.
But it's like nowhere in there is like, a convenient place where I'm going to feel like super inspired to, shut everything off and get in the zone for at least an hour to work on my solo material.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Not because it can't, but just because I don't want to,
Hmm.
you know, and I could be, I hope I'm not speaking too far out of turn here, but somebody like Jack Lee, I think for a long time, certainly as he established his dominance and everything in the early days, he had a normal day job. Like, I wonder if that's like a coincidence or not. I
You know, I
think
heard
Willie did too. I think Willie did too. I think everybody did. Like, I think the new full-time piper thing,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fairly new,
Yeah.
with some obvious exceptions, right? Like Colin McClellan's dad taught the Army School of Piping, and like, stuff like that. So
That's
there's
the thing that came
exceptions,
to mind.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
there's
If you were
exceptions,
in
but
at an institution or something like that, then that would be an option. But yeah.
this used to be something that people did. This used to be something that people did, out of passion, and then now it's like, there's a big group of people that this is what we do for a living.
Mm-hmm.
Which is cool. I mean, it's amazing. Think about it. It's amazing. It's amazing for piping, and it's amazing to be able to do piping for a living.
Yeah. I think I can remember reading about a certain author, and I think that I came across this because it was an author that I'd read some of their work, but now I can't remember who it was. But they, what I read was that they maintain a job as a grocer, stocking vegetables, and their books are successful enough that they don't have to. But this person's rationale was basically just like, this is straightforward enough manual labor that I can do it while my brain works on other stuff.
Yeah.
And it just gives me something else to be focused on for a while. And they're like,
That's right.
all my good ideas for my books happen while I'm moving broccoli, kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm a creativity junkie, so I love coming up with the ideas, and then I struggle. Struggle's not the right word, but I love I'm passionate about coming up with the ideas, and I'm just not passionate about the execution.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, that's
you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So it's like, I
totally.
could come up with a plan to win the gold medal.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, it would be foolhardy to try and execute on these plans, because, and it's another reason I've given up on that thing, because there's too much about a plan to win a gold medal that's completely out of my control. There's too much, you know what I mean? It's like, and maybe I won't get into some of those details, but yeah, you can't control how good your competitors are.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You
can't control if the tune you play is going to trigger your judge.
You also can't control, yeah, well, exactly. And you can't control if, you could switch tunes, and you could ask around, and then, so it would be more fun to come up with the plan to try to win the gold medal, though, than to actually do the things, which is going to include, trying to get yourself into great form.
That's something. Tell me if this rings true to you, Andrew, because you've built Piper's Dojo. It's something that most of us pipers know about, and is a cool thing. I think that for people on the outside of cool ideas that end up working out, and I mean, like, that could be a business, it could be a solo performance, whether that's in competition or otherwise. It could be building up a band, it could be all kinds of stuff. Getting good at painting, I don't know, all kinds of stuff. But for those of us outside of the product that a person has made, and we like the thing that they've made, we go, wow, that's so cool. It can be really easy to imagine that person, like, had that idea in a clear way and executed directly, and that's all good. But I suspect that for most people that make a successful thing, there's like a million other ideas and stuff that they've tried that wasn't successful.
Yeah, there's a meme on the internet about this.
Is there?
It's just like where other people, they just see the tip of the iceberg that the Titanic is sailing towards, right?
Oh,
They don't see like the huge like rat's nest of awfulness that's underneath. Yeah, and it's not awfulness, right?
But it's stuff that maybe it's not successful, air quotes, but it also might just be that, like, it's not like commercially viable. Maybe the person who made it still loved doing it, and that's all good, but it's not something that, like, the public gets to be aware of.
Yeah.
But, like, then you're always like your own worst critic. So, like, if I'm looking at someone else's product that they made, the thing that they did that's so cool, and thinking, wow, good for them, and then thinking to myself, of course, I'm only thinking of my own iceberg that is underwater, all of the things that I'm thinking of or trying that aren't working, and it feels like a strong, there's a big difference between me and them,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and what is it? Success is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah, stuff like that. Dude, when I got to interview Ross Ainsley a little while ago about his Pool album.
Yeah.
And that was one of the biggest things for me. I had talked to him before, and I'd already been charmed by how unassuming he is, where he's a piper who I feel like he could have a big ego, and I wouldn't blame him. I wouldn't hold it against him at all.
Yeah.
And so just pleasantly surprised that he doesn't, you know? But I said something about him being successful, and he laughed and was like, I guess how do you define success, or what is it? Because I don't think I'm successful.
Yeah.
And just be like, what? You know, like, come on, man.
Yeah. I don't know Ross. Like, I mean, I know him well enough to, you know, if I passed him in the street, I'd say, hey, and like shake hands with him.
Yeah.
But that's like the extent to which I know him. But yeah, he seems like a cool dude. Also, a lot of people jealous of how good he is.
I mean, he's so good, but yeah, like so chill about it, I guess is the thing, you know? And like, he strikes me as like really excited about other people's success. Like he sees other pipers coming up and is so excited about the ideas that they have and the stuff they're doing. I think that's a big part of what is charming about his persona is that he doesn't seem to be threatened by other people being successful. And maybe that comes from not considering himself successful, which part of me is like, no, I want, like on a personal level, I'm like, I hope he feels satisfied with the things he's done because he's done cool things, you know?
Yeah. Have you seen the Bob Dylan movie?
I haven't seen it yet. No, I've heard it's fun. The guy I have a coworker who saw it, who I know Bob Dylan music. My coworker doesn't know Bob Dylan music, so he was surprised by how Bob Dylan sings. He was like, "Why does that guy sound like a two-stroke motor?" And I was like, "That's Bob Dylan. What do you mean?"
Well,
But
I didn't.
anyway,
I mean,
no.
I wouldn't have been. I wouldn't. I'm not a huge Bob Dylan fan. I
Yeah.
don't, you know, I'm not like a fan. So I thought the movie was cool.
Mhm.
But there was some point in the movie where, you know, I don't know. I forget what the question was. But anyway, like basically, he wanted to be able to write music and eat.
Mm.
Like someone asked him, like, "What's the goal here? Like, what are you trying to do with these
That's
songs?"
his definition of success.
Yeah, exactly.
Write
Well,
music and eat.
and I mean, like, but it was sort of a, I don't know what you call that kind of statement, but well, it's like what do you call it? It's on the tip of my
Dismissal?
tongue.
Dismissing.
Yeah, like it's dismissive maybe, or like you know, yeah, you're dismissing the question completely, but also completely telling the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so it's the same, right? It's like the dojo's very successful.
Yeah.
You know, we probably.
I mean, everybody knows about it, right? Like it's pretty out there.
Well, the other thing is, I don't know if I want to say that on the air.
If you want, you can try it, and I can probably edit it out later.
No.
I can almost definitely find it, but
I don't want to say it. I don't want to
Okay.
say it. But like, you know, so the dojo is extremely successful, but like, you know, I think success for me is never having to think about money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, and you know, and it's still kind of stressful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or like, you know, life is still, you know, tough. You just got to figure out how you're gonna, you know, how you're gonna do. And I wouldn't say our family budget and everything is particularly disciplined, Jim. But also I don't want to have to be. So it's like, you know, so there's always that I don't know, abrasive. You always have that abrasive feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, I
where
hear
it's
you
like,
there.
man, this is cool. Like, look, it's so cool. The dojo has like, I don't know, 15 or more people that are, you know, great pipers that are teaching regularly, helping people to get better at bagpipes, and like we're doing all this thing.
Yeah.
And I only, you know, I do a lot of management now. It's like I actually don't teach that much. I work on big courses and I teach a couple of times a week and whatever. But it's like this awesome, cool thing that really works really well and helps a lot of pipers succeed. So that's good. But it's like that's good. But like, you know, I'd like it to be 10 times bigger and then I could just relax.
Yeah.
But that's not a real thing though. Like, but it's also not a real thing. Like everyone thinks that. It's like, man, it'd be nice to be a millionaire. It's like, well, to be a millionaire, you got to go from a thousandaire to a 2,000aire. Then you're going to go to a 3,000aire.
Right. Yeah.
And then eventually you might get to a 10,000aire. And then, you know, very great.
Then you're a tenth of the way there.
It's possible to become a millionaire, but like it would only be incrementally, right?
Yeah. And in a lot of ways, each of those steps takes longer than the one before.
Unless you get lucky or you make some sort of huge discovery, I suppose.
Yeah.
But like, ask anybody who you think got lucky if they think they got lucky.
Yeah, nobody thinks that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, actually, I almost literally starved to death and I attempted, I'm speaking of like, famous people that have finally had a hit song. It's like, yeah, I
Yeah.
literally almost starved to death and considered suicide many times. And then sort of accidentally, one of the songs I don't even like that much got famous.
Yeah, right. Isn't that funny how often that's the case? That it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it was, I think it was an interview with Paul McCartney that he was talking about how like, oh, I did listen. Oh no, it was Pink Floyd's, I was about to say Sid Barrett. That's not right. Who's, geez, I'm silly that I'm blanking on this,
I
not
don't do
David
rock and roll
Gilmour, the
trivia.
other one,
I can
Pink
name all
Floyd.
the members of the Dave Matthews Band.
I was going to say Roger Waters, but I was like, no, that's the drummer. Oh, it doesn't really matter that much, but yeah.
Roger Waters is not a drummer. I know that.
No, he's the bass player and often
No, is
vocalist.
he the bass player? Oh yeah,
yeah.
the vocalist, yeah. And then
Yeah.
there's David Gilmour. He was the guy shredding Uncomfortably Numb.
That's right. He replaced Sid Barrett, yeah. But yeah, Roger Waters said something about having gone back and listened to something on there. I think it must have been the Time track, but just it stood out to me that he was like he'd gone a long time not listening to his own music.
Yeah.
And just like sometimes what we love that an artist has made, they are indifferent to or even dislike.
Yeah.
I think Paul
your
McCartney
past
even
work-
said that.
Your past work makes you cringe. I think that's normal.
Yeah,
like
that's
I'm
funny.
probably like my contribution to like it's pretty funny. It's also funny like you don't get to pick what your legacy is going to be. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like it would be cool to like leave your mark on the piping world, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would be cool. And like so far, and who knows, all bets are still off, but like so far it seems like my most important contribution to piping is going to be air in B minor, which is the slow air that SFU played in 2004. But like that's it's cool. The medley, the performance was great.
Mm-hmm.
But like insofar as the stuff I write now, it's like air in B minor definitely makes me cringe a little bit.
That's interesting.
It's still cool. Like I'm super proud of it. And Danny and I, like when we sat down and sketched that out, it's like you never would have thought in a million years that Terry Lee would be like, that's pretty cool. Let's do that. And then like just it was basically in the medley by the end of the week, and then we're like writing stuff, and then we're doing it, and then and that was step one.
Mm-hmm.
And then it we played it at the Worlds. We did not win the Worlds, but the medley sort of like caught fire and everyone loved it. And then like and then how many medleys have had reprises modeling that since then?
It's become a thing. Yeah, that's definitely a thing.
You never could have I think I was just like, I was a young guy playing the SFU pipe band and whatever. And it was kind of like, we were just kind of all hanging out. Like big people in the band would just hang out.
Yeah.
And then we were like, and then Danny is like, she could play the piano, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Like this was back before, I mean, I kind of knew about chords and I kind of had a suspicion they were important.
Mm-hmm.
But she could actually play chords. So like, we were just horsing around and like, and then it was like, well, we should like, let's write a tune. Like, let's like write a slow air and then come back to it. Like with kind of like, probably not that much different than Steam Train to Maleg, right?
Oh,
But
sure,
anyway,
yeah.
it's just, thinking about just little things that you don't really know how they're.
That's the kind of
out.
thing, though, that like from the outside, it might look very engineered and like this must have been, I don't know, air quotes, professionally done or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then getting the insider scoop on it, it's like we're just horsing around.
I know.
I wonder
That's
how
by
often
the
that's
way,
the case.
that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Mm.
So it's like, and we've all seen it, right?
Mm.
It's like, and you get better at it, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still just horsing around,
Mm.
and it's still horrifyingly painful and difficult.
Mm.
We're doing that right now in Inverary when as this is being recorded. It's like we've got some amazing ideas for this year's medley, and then it's like now we're in the meat grinder stage, and it's like, oh man, all of these ideas we were so emotional about, and we thought were going to be the greatest ideas. It's like now they're up against reality, and it's like, nope.
Mm.
I'm not sure that idea really works at all, and this might take a complete re-engineer and this, that, and the other thing, and it's tough. Well, and usually by this time the season comes around, Inverary puts out a pretty exciting medley,
Mm.
but it's like painful.
Hmm. You know, by the time this episode goes out, that medley might be available to be heard somewhere on the internet. So it'll be
I
interesting
don't know
to.
because I don't know because there are no majors
I just barely saw something about that.
until July.
Yeah, July. That's right, July 12th or something like that.
So I'm sure. I'm sure we'll play it before. I guess I'm sure we'll play the medley before that.
But will you let the internet know, or are you just gonna play it for yourselves?
Right. Like we don't really know, and it's
Yeah.
something we don't really plan.
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of do what you got to do.
Well, no. Speaking of like not being able to pick your legacy, stuff like that. You're
I mean, like that sounds really cheesy, Jim. But
but
like,
it makes sense.
but it would be, it would be cool, and like, certainly if I'm gonna devote my life to piping, it would be cool to like, like I don't know, McCrimmons, Donald
Yeah.
McLeod, Alistair Gillis,
And Andrew Douglas.
and Andrew
That's
Douglas.
the list.
Like I just want to be in the top four, but I'm not sure it's gonna go like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it can't be about that either, by the way. It's like it's not what but it would be cool, right? It would be cool after you die to have had some sort of positive impact. But like, and then you plant a lot of seeds of things that you think might be positive, but you don't really know what's going to be successful.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, but what if Andrew, what if it's like not even just a bagpiping thing that you end up being remembered for? What if
know.
there's like some like completely unexpected thing? I'm trying to think like what could it be?
It's like the guy who gets hit by the blue cube that gets dumped out of an airplane and his head gets smashed in.
Right. Yeah. Something like that. That's what you Google Andrew Douglas 100
yeah.
years from now, and that story's going to keep coming up.
He's the airport or the airline toilet smash guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And your ghost is floating there behind them, just like I did other stuff.
I did other stuff. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Do you ever have to
It's
deal
like
with
you know who Rob Gronkowski is?
No.
He's like probably the best tight end in the history of the NFL.
I should have said sports because I was like,
Yeah.
it's like a coach or something. Yeah.
He's an amazing tight end. But now he's retired and he does commercials. And one of his commercials is the Tide Pods. He does the Tide Pod commercial.
Yeah.
And like, that's what I remember Rob Gronkowski
He's
for.
the Tide Pod guy now.
And then anytime, even if it's really late, like it could be 11 at night.
Mhm.
And then Tide Pods has other types of commercials. Anytime we see a Tide Pod on the television, I just go Tide Pods really loud. And I don't care. I don't care if the wife has been asleep for 2 hours. I still shout it out.
So that's that guy's legacy.
That's for me anyway. I mean, I love Gronk. I mean, I was a Patriots fan, so I'll always remember what a great football player he was. But also Tide Pods, Jim. Tide Pods.
Do you ever struggle with worrying about like having your own stuff on the internet so much? Like if your old work is cringy for you,
Yeah.
do you ever like think like, how could I take that down? Like can I hide that from the world?
Yeah.
Or do you just let it be what it is?
I let it be what it is.
Mm.
Yeah. I think that's the Dave Matthews Band fan in me.
Let it be what it is. Is that a Dave Matthews song?
No, it's not a Dave Matthews song, but like, Dave Matthews Band was like, they're an interesting band in the sense that I think from early on, they didn't just allow people to tape their shows. Like they encouraged it, and they did special things for the tapers to be comfortable and to get a great recording. And they always did that, and they are like, and that would be regardless of how well the show went, right? And like, you're gonna get caught in a jam, which is a unfortunate accidental play on words for a jam band. But like,
sure.
You could get in a jam and things could be going really badly, but those tapers are there and they're recording the shows. And like, I used to have the Napster.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I did the
you have
Napster. I did the LimeWire. I did all those things. Yeah.
You used to be able to just like find any Dave Matthews show you wanted and just listen to the tapes. I used to do that. I thought that was pretty cool, but like that's what the Dave Matthews Band did. And, everybody could just tape the shows. And that's like, but that's also how they became super popular without the assistance of a record label. And then they could sign a record deal that was actually like advantageous to the band.
Actually good for them. Yeah.
And so where I was going with this was Yeah, that's sort of always the way my piping stuff goes. If you go and I think it's interesting and cool.
Hmm.
Like, so for example, I'm always in the process of changing how I teach things.
Mm-hmm.
Always. To the point where if I release like a big course, I usually already want to change stuff. But like, just because I want to change stuff doesn't mean what's in the course is not extremely useful and interesting. And you never know when you're going to hear that thing
Hmm.
that gets you to figure things out.
Yeah.
That's always what it's been for me. And you never know what it's going to be. Like someone could tell you exactly the secret to the universe and everything. Right.
But you might not get it.
That's exactly it. But it doesn't,
Yeah.
for whatever reason, it doesn't register for you. But then
Yeah.
someone could tell you something that's completely not necessarily right, but you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Make something click.
And then you're like, oh, wait. Oh, shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got this. And I've had so many moments in my life in piping and otherwise where things have clicked. And it wasn't because someone sat me down and told me the secret.
Mm.
It's that you start to make connections.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing.
Yeah, I love watching that kind of thing happen in my brain where I'll realize something, maybe it's profound or not, maybe just for me, but it's like some kind of insight. And I go, now, where did that come from? And usually it's at least two things. It's usually multiple things where it's like, oh, well,
Yeah.
I saw this thing happen. And 4 weeks ago, I was talking to so-and-so about this totally other thing, but they're connected in my brain right now.
I know.
It's pretty cool.
It's crazy.
So then, like, it sounds like a nice way to live, Andrew, like to not have stress about what the world can see of what you've done. Is that something that you've had to cultivate consciously over time, or has that come very naturally to you?
It's an interesting question. Because yeah, it's an interesting question because generally, no, I haven't really had to cultivate it.
Hmm.
I think it's like, I don't know why though.
Hmm.
I like, I like, the content creation thing. I just like it. I
Hmm.
like the content creators I like are like really interesting.
Hmm.
And I like that. And the stuff that I like the best is the unedited stuff
Hmm.
where you just see what's really going on.
Yeah.
That's what I like the best. That's where you learn the most, I think.
Hmm.
It's like, yeah. And so I think that's just what I've been doing, but we've been doing this for kind of a long time
Yeah.
at this point. Yeah.
I
So you just
wonder.
put it out there. And by the way, most people are never going to see it. By the way, when you build a web page, tell me you've built web pages.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah.
you're a modern man.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, let me ask you this. Are you a I must not publish this website yet because it's not done person?
Oh,
Like I cannot press publish on this page because it's not done yet? Or
yeah.
are you, but what I do is I publish right away
Yeah.
on the assumption no one's ever going to come to see this website
Right.
unless I
Yeah.
tell them to anyway. And if they did accidentally, it wouldn't be that bad. So like, let's just publish it and then just rock and roll as we go.
Yes, I have done the website building thing both ways, and I have moved in exactly that trajectory. Initially, it was like I have to have two versions of this so that so I
Yeah.
can keep on working on this one and have a public facing version and all that
Yes.
kind of stuff, right? Very cautious about it and stuff like that. Whereas today, up to this point now, nah, dude, when I'm making edits to the Bagpipe Swag website.
You just do it.
I make my little edit and hit the publish button, partly because I immediately want to go to the website live and see what
Exactly.
did that do.
Yeah. What does this
Um,
actually look like?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
So
a lot
that's
of
part
times
of
the
it, but
previews they give you are like not actually that
yeah.
useful. Yep.
I wonder if part of that, though, I wonder if that is connected to some of the other stuff we've been talking about, Andrew, where it's like with the very first website that I built, I was being really cautious about it. And I had a lot of stuff tied up with that. I thought like this has to be perfect first because everybody's going to see it. It's going to be this means something about the quality of my work, which means something about me
Yeah.
personally.
By the way, as you tell me this, just as you tell me this, make sure you're making the connections to your bug to play the solos.
That's a good point. Because when the quantity of things that I'm putting in the world is still this is website number one, maybe that's part of where it's coming from, where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I might never do this again. This is the first time I've done it. This is the one thing that I'll be remembered for, as it were, right?
Yep.
Whereas at this point, like I've helped a few charities with websites and stuff like that. I'm not like a web guru, but just like happy to help kind of thing. And I built a few of my own, and also had a few that I just had to tear down completely and start over. And having done a bunch of them, you kind of start being chill about it and just being like, this is what it is for today. It might be different tomorrow, and that's
Yeah.
all right. So the connection to soloing maybe is that it's been years since I soloed. When I did solo before, it was always like solo once, wait 4 or 5 years. Solo once, wait 4 or 5 years. At this point, I'm not soloing a ton. And maybe if I was just chilled out, I'm like, yeah, I'll probably solo this year, and I'll probably solo next year, and the year after that, and the year after that.
Yeah.
Maybe
Or just
that's
make it a
part
thing.
of,
Like just make it a thing that you do when you go to the games.
yeah, just, of course I'm going to. And then there's not as much, I don't have as many hangups about like, well, this time must be perfect. I must pick the perfect tune, get it down just right, all that stuff. I can be more chill about just being like, yeah, I'm just going to do it. Because then I'll
Yeah.
do it again tomorrow, and I'll do it again the next day. It's all good.
Yeah. Totally.
So then you put out so much stuff for the internet, via Dojo and stuff like that. I wonder if that's part of the freedom to just do it, is doing a lot of it. It's like this self-perpetuating thing where it's like, if you just get started, then you can keep going. But that first step is hard to make.
But I think you're also, I'm also, in a way practicing what I preach, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and a lot of times people will try and catch me in a mistake,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like this is the thing. Yeah. I don't know if I want to say this right now either. It'll have all blown over in 3 months, right?
Probably.
So
You've survived storms already, right?
yeah. So I'm a fan of Elon. I think SpaceX is so cool.
Wait, be specific about which Elon tied to a company called SpaceX you're talking about, because we might not be sure which
I don't know.
Elon
I
you're
don't know if I
talking
want.
about.
I don't know if I want to right now. It puts a target on my back. But like, I love that stuff. And people will try and grill him for mistakes. For example, the last 2 starships. Even though they're catching a 20-story building out of midair that just
I
returned
saw a
from
video of that the other day.
space
That
on the
was
thing.
nuts to watch.
They've
Yeah.
done that 3 times now. The last 4 attempts, they've caught it 3 times, and then
Every
the 4th
time it looks like it's defying like physics. Like it doesn't look like it can be real. It's just
It doesn't.
wild. Yeah.
It doesn't. It's the most amazing. It might be
Yeah.
the most amazing engineering feat of all time,
Mm.
right? But then meanwhile, I mean, let's just say media is not a big fan of Elon right now, right? So like what the headlines are like, because the other part of the ship, they've had to blow it up, right? Because it's malfunctioning. So, something went wrong. So they blow it up so that, it doesn't come crashing through the atmosphere and hurting anyone.
Mm.
Right. But like the headlines are like, oh, Starship fails again. It's like, wait, really?
I see what you mean. Yeah.
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 It's like, but the idea there is the more rapidly you can try stuff, and fail, the more rapidly you can find what the problems are and fix them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so sometimes you get that. Sometimes you get that in the dojo, where people are like, oh, well, that's different than, or why don't you teach ALAP ASAP anymore or whatever? And it's like, well, first of all, I still think those are interesting ideas, but we've just moved on from that, right? We've identified, I've identified reasons why that wasn't quite right. And here's what we're moving on to next. And then, 5 years from now, you're going to see a lot of differences, and this is how it works. And so you're practicing what you preach in a way, right? It's like, oh, what we had before was pretty darn good, but like now, now we're continuing to improve it and to make it better. At least I hope so. And then if not, we'll correct back.
I wonder if you've been in a long-term relationship, Andrew. And so
Very
I wonder,
long, Jim.
Yeah.
So long.
I-
It's shockingly long, Jim.
yeah, is it?
So our 15th wedding anniversary is coming up.
Congrats, dude. That's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
So I wonder if this will ring true. I wonder if this is
15 long years, Jim.
You don't have to make it sound that long.
That's
Well, I have wondered before about, and I wonder if this connects to this stuff at all. That like, my wife and I have not just been married for a long time, but like we've been close friends since we were kids, really, very long time, and it's like the
Plus,
person
I
in
mean,
the
like, do you get married like on the younger side?
oh, that tends to be the thing. Yeah, yeah. We
Just
were
I mean, I don't want to put any connections to any like geographical areas or anything.
oh, there's no sweat there. Like hey, this is I didn't choose it, but it is what it is, and there's no reason to pretend like it isn't what it is. Yeah, yeah. We were 21. Maybe she was 22 actually by the time we got married. But
By the
yeah,
way, that's not that far off from us, even though we're not from a particular geographic region.
yeah, but we had plenty of friends who were married right out of high school, kind of thing. We were on the older side of where a lot of people get married. So
So
yeah.
I think maybe I was just 26
Hmm.
because we got married in 2010. 2010 minus 1984 is 26.
Andrew, did you know that my wife and I also got married in 2010?
It wasn't on October 2nd, was it?
It wasn't. It was on Black Friday. It was about a month
Oh,
later.
okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So I've been married longer than you.
You win.
Wow. Amazing.
You win. But the thing that I'm thinking about is just that, like, the person in the world for whom I would most like to have a polished and perfect, version of myself,
Oh,
the
man.
most impressive version of myself is obviously my wife, of course. Like, I'd like her to only know of the best version of me.
And
But she's the
And?
person in,
how's that
yes,
gone for
and,
you, Jim?
oh, dude, it's impossible, right?
Yeah.
Especially after so long. The thing that I have to recognize is that, like, at this point, it's not just that, oh, she knows about a few of my flaws. She is the person in the world best acquainted with all of the worst versions of
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And that sucks. But then this little magic
Does
it doesn't. Because in spite of that, she's still with me. And that's
Yeah.
like, oh, she must actually love me. And there is like a level of comfort and like reassurance in that's so huge, where it's like if I had any ego left to save, right? If I had any scrap of like a perfected persona that I was still trying to preserve, then I could
Yep.
still convince myself that she's only with me because she thinks I'm that thing. And so I'd be stressed about preserving that,
Yeah. Well, by the way, that's how we all started, though, right? Well,
It
maybe
is, yeah.
maybe not
It's how a
you.
lot of us started, for sure.
Maybe
Yeah.
not you, Jim, because you come from a certain geographical region. But like,
Oh no, like, I was posturing and trying to act extra good and be
But
cool
like,
and stuff like that, for sure. Yeah.
where I'm going with this is like dating, right?
Mm.
Or less mature relationships,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's like, by the way, it's you learn the reality of fallibilism by being in a commitment relationship.
Yeah. Sure. Absolutely.
100%, right? But because that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
So it's not relationship is not about perfection.
Mm.
It's about correcting for errors, for lack of a
Yeah.
better word.
Yeah. That totally makes sense. Yeah.
No, the whole world is this. This is what I've been
Yeah.
trying to tell you, bro.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, early relationships are like that, right? Like so. And by the way, our own relationship, with Steph, I mean, it's the same. Like, so yeah, the phase one of the relationship is like, I don't know if maybe you're old enough to know it's not about perfection, but like, you go on a date and then after the date's over, she goes back to her house and I go back to my house. Right.
And you can finally fart because that's
Exactly.
proof that you're faking it, that you've been holding in your farts the whole time.
Exactly. But then but then you start to, instead of just going on dates, right, you start to basically hang out all the time.
Yeah.
But you still go back to your own place at night, let's say.
Yeah.
And then, but then
you still have a chance to like shower and do your hair and make sure you can fart after and you can get ready before.
Yep.
Then you engage in activities together and then you're separate again. Yeah.
Exactly. And so there's still like, you're still like pretending to be someone that you're not and trying to put together this perfect thing. And then eventually you decide to move in together. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the big thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like now you watch each other get ready and you watch each other fart. At the end of the day. Yeah. And then like you start to get really acquainted with people's imperfections. And like, it's this whole big trope, right? It's like,
yeah.
Now I've moved in with them and now I see like now all these things they do like annoy me. But it's like, okay, but also those are errors that need to be like corrected for and adjusted for.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it could be an error of expectation or Like it could
Right.
be an error from like it could be a judgmental based error where the
Yeah.
person just has to get used to what the other person's imperfections are like because it's not reasonable to expect them to be better. And then it goes the other way
Hmm.
in the sense where the person doing those things needs to make adjustments in order for the relationship to work. But it's really about making those adjustments. And by the way,
Yeah.
some of them are trivial and
Hmm.
some of them are horrifyingly awful. And I think
Yeah.
anyone who's been married for a while will know exactly what I'm talking about.
Hmm. I wonder if this is so then it makes me think like it's maybe similar to the Dave Matthews Band approach where it's like rather than trying to craft this public version of us
Mm-hmm.
and control what people can see,
Amen, my
we're
friend.
just going to be ourselves. And that
Yep.
way we don't have a fake thing to preserve. We can just be
Yes.
chill and just do it.
Yes, which also reminds me of current events
Hmm.
as well. It's like,
Well,
at least at the moment, right? People have completely rejected like the contrived, made up, fake perfection style of leadership, haven't they?
yeah.
And what you're seeing right now is like the personification of, like, man, you probably don't want Droning On to go in this direction. And by the way, it's going to be released in a while, but it's like, man, it's like what you're seeing right now is raw and uncut. Let's just put it right there.
Sure.
And it's
Yep.
bananas. It's
Yeah.
bananas.
I think,
I'm not
yep.
coming out in support of one side or the other here. I'm just saying what we're seeing right now is bananas, but I also think it's a reaction to how the other way it was going.
I appreciate your consideration, Andrew, and I do think that if there's one thing that all sides can unite over, it's the observation that it's bananas.
Yeah.
That's one thing we can all agree on.
It's wildly bananas, but like the appeal, I think the appeal, and by the way, it's like, I'm the type of person that who's going to have an open mind and is going to expect giant errors to be made, no matter what side you're on, right?
Mm.
So and then again, it's like what? Like let's just rewind. Let's forget about all that, and let's just go back to like the whole canceling thing that we've been going through the last 10 years in society, right? Like the idea that if you make a single error, that other people should have the right to completely destroy your life as a result, right? It started with like the Paula Deen thing, that was like the first big one that I remember.
Oh man,
and
you're taking me back into. I forgot all about the Paula Deen thing.
But Paula Deen is like, she allegedly, I mean, I don't remember the details, right? That's why I use the word
I don't
allegedly.
entirely remember either. It was something to do with like a racist thing she'd said or something.
So apparently
right?
she said something racist like 40 years ago, and it came out. And then
is that what it was?
And then 40 years later, she was like fired and canceled and everything, and just taken off the air because of something that she said 40 years ago. And
she was kind of like a Martha Stewart kind of character, right?
Yeah, she was like, well, yes and no. She was just Southern. She was like the Southern grandma. She was the original Southern grandma cooking show lady.
That's right. It was like recipes and stuff.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like that's part of why I don't remember it well, because like I didn't know anything about her until there was a controversy, and then it was just weird to see this like.
But you ever see these things that people are canceled for, and deep down inside you're thinking to yourself, "Damn, I've done way worse than that. Way, way, way." And not because I think, and when I did those things that were really, really bad, I wasn't thinking one way or the other. It just happened because mistakes happen, and like in order to become this polished a figure you see before you, right? You have to make mistakes, and you have to correct for errors along the way.
I do think I
there's a lot
can
more-
relate where like
And
I
by
have
the way,
definitely.
what
Oh,
are
go
the
ahead.
odds there? What are the odds that in the future there will be more errors for me to correct?
There's bound to be, right?
It's guaranteed.
If I expect there not to be, then I'm in for a rude awakening.
Exactly. I think sometimes I think we're maybe conditioned, or maybe I don't know, but we're conditioned to try to avoid errors.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, of course we are, right? And I definitely I think I can relate like to what you're saying, where I have definitely thought to myself like, my goodness, I came to MySpace when I was a teenager. I'm so glad that there weren't camera phones and stuff like that before then. Not necessarily because I engaged in a whole lot of criminal activity, but just like I was a headstrong, stupid, thought I knew everything young person once, as so many of us were. And
By
I
the way,
had
you
hot
can,
takes and stuff like that. That now I look back on those hot takes and I'm like, I was so stupid. I'm so glad that the only record of that exists in my head and the head of a couple other people, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I agree. I don't know
Are
if
you,
I agree that I don't know if I agree that I'm glad that you can't see any of it. By the way, there is evidence, right?
hey,
Like
no,
like
no, you don't have to agree, but I'm glad no one can see my dumb hot take
but
specifically.
imagine if you were like imagine if someone came out and found some of that
Mm, mm.
and then like legitimately uh and then was like legitimately honestly judging you for that. What would you say to that? You would say, "Whoa, bro, like that was a long time ago."
I mean, I certainly would be like, I don't think that anymore.
Yeah.
I was wrong. That's for
So
sure.
it's like I
Yeah.
judge my past not on whether or not I was correct. I judge it on whether or not I was doing my best,
Mm.
right? I was like, or if I was doing my best to be moral, or doing my best to, solve certain problems.
So then when it comes to like dojo, like you're talking about how like dojo materials, like as by the time a course comes out, you already have changes you want to make to it. This to me
Yeah,
is making some sense where like on the one hand, because you're doing this a lot, maybe you have like a sense of like, well, we can course correct as we continue to move forward. That one thing doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, this is part of the process of how we continue to pursue better
yeah,
ideas.
and also just knowing, you just know it's not going to be
Mm.
perfect.
But then also, do you feel like maybe if you were trying to tightly control everything that the dojo had ever put out, like go back and edit videos and remove posts and all that
Yeah,
kind of stuff, so that what you're teaching today, so that it looks like what you're teaching today is what you've always been teaching? Wouldn't that be a way worse? Can you imagine living that way? Would that be like way more stressful and
well, and like, unless suddenly everything is changed, for a fact for a fact what you're teaching right now is wrong in many, many ways. It's
yeah?
just the best current explanation I have about how to teach.
So it seems to me like maybe analogous to these relationship things that we've experienced, where it's like if you were trying to continue to preserve something that isn't actually what the process is, that would be really hard and stressful and not a great way to live. But like there's a kind of freedom that comes with just openness and honesty, like Dave Matthews Band, right? Where you're just being like, "Hey, internet, here's the best explanation I have for today." And you're not saying this is the best explanation forever.
And
You're
you're
not
also not
making a fake
apologizing,
claim.
and you're also not apologizing for changing your mind and for evolving.
Hmm. So that's part of the secret to being able to do stuff, is what I'm gathering here. You want to
Maybe.
do stuff like soloing, like being in a relationship, like starting a band, all these kinds of stuff. You maybe kind of just got to do it and be okay with the idea that you'll make some mistakes along the way.
Yeah, and it's like, well, you could think about the mistakes, or you could think about doing your best.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like, so the question is not, did I make mistakes today? The question is, well, did I actually give it my all? And by the way, the answer is usually not quite, right? It's
Never,
like, oh,
never have I.
here's what I might change for next time,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
or, sometimes things just get by you.
Hmm.
And then you got to try and fix them. I think there's a few moments I can think about in my past where I knew I was doing the wrong thing and did it anyway. And those are the worst ones.
Sure.
Those are the
Yeah.
worst mistakes. But those were, most of those are a pretty long time ago at
Hmm.
this point. Because, like, you learn to trust the process, which is try to always do your best
Hmm. Yeah.
and have fun and try to have fun.
Yeah.
Those are the secrets.
Do your best and have fun. I mean, deceptively simple. It sounds nice. Um, Last night, I was talking to Rachel, and she was like, "Oh, what are we doing tomorrow?" And I was like, "Well, I'm going to get up a little early to do an interview, and then after that, I'll just be available." And she's like, "Oh, who are you interviewing?" I was like, "Andrew Douglas." And she's like, "Oh, but for Droning On or for Piper's Dojo?" I was like, "Oh, for Droning On." She's like, "What are you guys going to talk about? You talk
Yeah.
to that guy more than you talk to me. You guys have been talking on a weekly basis for years. What are you going to come up with to talk about?" And I was like, "I don't know. We're just going to
Uh,
see what happens."
Basically, yeah. Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
dissatisfied with what happened, Andrew, because I feel a little bit more sort of chill and empowered about my bug to solo. Like it feels like a less intense. It's
Well,
like
what do you got? What grade are you soloing in?
3.
So you got to have a March, a Strathspey Reel,
What
and
I'm
a
looking at
Piedmont.
right now, I I'm feeling strongest about the jig and the 6/8 march, and I might only
Jesus,
do
Jim.
those events.
Come on, don't be like that.
Well, it's just those are the tunes that I like feel decent about, and also excited to start learning and stuff like that.
Just play some get out, play. You don't know any 2/4 marches?
I did Bonnie Ann a few years ago, and I felt like
That's
I
too
could
much.
probably
Don't do
resurrect
that.
that. But,
No. What other 2/4 marches you got?
well, I was gonna try to get Kill Bowie Cottage down, but
Yeah,
it's kind of hard, and I'm kind of starting to feel like
harder than Bonnie
maybe.
Ann. What are you, nuts?
Well, it's kind of hard if my competition is 8 weeks away. I'm like, I don't know if I can have that ready.
What about just laying down a little Don McLean's Farewell to Oban or whatever?
You think I can get away with stuff like that? Like, I know the grade 3 is not this
Hell
lofty
yeah.
position, but I'm like, well, what if I play something like that and they say this guy should be in grade 4, which would be fine. It would be fine.
They're not going to say that.
But
They're not going to say that.
there's some of my anxiety coming through, right? It's like, why do I want to preserve this thing?
Oh, I missed a grace note there. It doesn't matter. I'm playing that nice and easy. I'm telling you right now, if someone showed up with in-tune drones doing that in grade 3,
You'd feel good about it?
no, you'd get an AGL. It would, you know what I mean?
Tell you what, I'm gonna play that, Andrew.
You know that tune? Do you know that tune?
Not really, but I've heard it enough times and played it, like faked it on pipes a couple times that like I could probably get it down pretty quick.
What else we got? What other 2/4 marches we got?
I mean, I got a whole book of them here. I have a hard time remembering
Which ones do you
what.
know? Which ones can you rattle off?
Honestly, I have a hard time. If somebody started playing some 2/4 marches that I had played before, I'd be able to hop into them. But I have a hard time remembering which titles go with what.
What 2/4s have you played in the band?
I can't
Just pick some.
remember, man. I could go through the band's music folder and find a few.
Yeah, but just like, get some 2/4 marches going on the old bagpiperoo and play them for a bit.
Yeah.
See what floats to the top.
Have you ever seen a grade 3 piper playing a 2/4 who's trying to get that heavy left foot thing down, who just like really does take a funny left step to just like really emphasize it for themselves in their brain?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Because I do that.
Oh, God.
And I've had people tell me, stop doing that. And I'm like, it helps me.
Just got to stop. I think you're overthinking itis.
Yeah. Well,
find a couple 2/4 marches that you enjoy. Put them on the music stand and just play them on the pipes and see what floats to the top.
That's another thing that's been happening to me, Andrew, that I think is interesting, and probably something else that is a symptom of me overthinking this, is that in the last, my pipes, yeah, they're in their case right now. The last time I played my pipes was when I played a funeral gig 5 weeks ago. 5 weeks. And during that time, I've been sitting there with my practice chanter on my work desk thinking like, well, I'm going to work on these tunes when I get 10 minutes kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that has been all I've done. Whereas before, when I wasn't thinking, oh, I got to get these tunes ready, I would take my pipes to work pretty regularly and go take a break to play the pipes. Would it be better if I'd spent 10 minutes playing pipes at some point in the last 5 weeks? Maybe it hasn't been, maybe it's been 4 weeks. But anyway, see what I mean? I've been neglecting actually doing the thing, playing my bagpipes, because I've been thinking, well, first I must do this thing.
Yeah.
That seems silly?
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe, I guess. It happens.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. Just have fun with it. Stop overthinking it, Jim.
All right, I'll stop overthinking it. We'll see. I have been recording a little bit here and there as I've been.
The jig, though. I mean, the 6/8 and the jig. I mean, come on.
They're cool tunes, though. I mean, I am excited to have Patty's Leather Breeches down.
Isn't there like a march competition?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So just do that. Do 2/4 march. Hit me with a 2/4 march. Let's go. We got
All
this. Right. Strathspey reel? No.
I think that's an option, but I wasn't. Yeah, I'm not planning to do it because I just don't feel great about Strathspeys.
Yeah, but you don't have to feel great about a Strathspey to go out there and throw one out there.
Yeah, maybe what I'll do is I'll add that to the docket next year, but I'm not ready for it emotionally. I'm not prepared.
Yeah.
I don't have the emotional bandwidth. Baby steps.
For the people out there who always say like, oh, maybe I'm going to play the solos, but never do. Like, just go out there and play a tune.
I'm going to go fail on purpose so that then the next year I can say it's going to be better than last year.
You're not going to fail on purpose. You're going to go out there, do your best, and see what you get, which is likely to be a failure. But by the way, like, I don't know. I've been doing this a long time. And anytime I compete, there's always a pretty solid likelihood it's going to be a failure.
Mm-hmm.
Drones are going to go out, going to miss a couple things, whatever. I mean, that's always a risk. Going
I
to
guess,
lose my focus, and make a mistake. Like these things happen all the time.
but maybe in the same way that, like you were saying, we could ask the question, like, define success. Like, what does success mean?
Yeah,
We
what
could
does
also ask the
success mean?
question, define failure. What is that? What is that?
And what is that?
Maybe we could redefine that so that those things happening isn't like a scary failure. It's like failure is chill or it's not failure. Like
Yeah.
you played.
By the way, it's one of the things I've learned over the years playing at the Worlds too. It's like when you're a kid, you want to go to the Worlds and you want to play out of your skin and play the most amazing you've ever played, but it's a huge mistake. It's like what you really want to do is absolutely minimize the risk of making any serious errors.
Yeah.
That's what it's really about.
Yeah.
Period. On the day. Now, leading up to the day, you want to make your stuff better and better and more consistent and more interesting and refine. But then like once you're in performance mode, it's just error correction. Like don't put yourself in the position to make an error. At the Dumbarton Major last year on Thursday night, my bass drone was acting funny. And then Friday morning when I woke up, it was started to double tone. So what do you do there?
Yeah.
And like for me, the answer was so simple and easy. That reed came out, the cane bass came out, synthetic bass went in. That bass has been with me for like, I've probably played it at 15 different Worlds or something.
Do you keep it in a little box that says "Old Reliable"
Nope.
on the cover?
No, it just sits in my pipe case. It sits in my pipe case.
It's just
and
kicking around the pipe case?
There. Yeah. If it gets dust on it, I blow the dust off, and then you stick it in, and it works.
That's so funny, man.
But you don't. I didn't hesitate to do that because, I don't know. It's gonna start.
Yeah.
It's gonna start.
Well, this might figure into it, Andrew. I've done a couple little audio recordings as I've been like prepping for the solos this year, thinking that I might patch it together into a Droning On episode. Like, you ever listen to like those This American Life story pieces on NPR kind of thing where it's
I
like,
listen to Serial.
Sure, maybe something like that. I haven't listened to Serial, but I could imagine maybe something like that. So it's like a little bit of narration, a little bit of Foley from the world that you're standing in, and like, here's what I'm thinking for the tune, that kind of thing. My hope is that if it comes together into like, my idea is like within an episode, you'd hear a person talking about like which tunes they want to pick, signing up for the games, etc. And at the tail end of the episode, hear them playing at the games, right? It's kind of like this timeline thing. And my hope is that if I can get it to stitch together in a decent way, then I can get other people to do the same thing, send their audio into me, and that'll be future episodes, because I would like to hear what this process is like.
You're going to get tens of listeners to those.
I think I might get, I think you were talking single digits, Andrew. You're very optimistic.
Yeah, that sounds rough, Jim.
All of this stuff is, if you're not doing it because you want to, why else, right? So anyway, just what you're telling me in this episode, we'll see if that affects what that episode ends up sounding like, right? Because that'll be this fun like time lapse thing where it's like, if somebody's listened to this episode and then that episode comes out later, and halfway through the episode, I say something like, well, I was talking to Andrew Douglas about this, and I think I'm going to try a 2/4 March. You know what I mean?
Just play Donald McLean's Farewell to Oban. It's it's what everybody plays. It's like, you're not going to be original, but like, it's a good tune. That's why everybody plays it.
Yeah. All right. I'll do it.
Kill Bowie's not a terrible idea. But yeah. Donald McLean's Farewell to Oban. It's going to be great.
Well, Andrew, do you want to promote anything or throw any stuff out there before we draw the episode to a conclusion?
90 minutes in?
Yeah.
All right. So for the listener out there,
the listener who's made it this far.
Yeah, this is for Jim's wife. No,
I was going to say, hi, Mom. Thanks for sticking around.
Yeah, this is for Jim's mom. No. Nope, nothing really. Just doing the thing.
Yeah.
Yes. People should join the Dojo. That's the pitch.
Hard cut. That's the ending right there.
Yeah,
that's the whole commercial.